So here's what's happening here today, you guys. I have made a pattern for a beach cover up, but it has a very specific purpose, okay? When I go to the beach, I'm there with family. Like, there is not really ever an instance where I'm at the beach and I'm not with my family members. And I just like having another layer to throw over my swimsuit just to keep it like PG. So I've been on the hunt for the perfect little cover up that I can just throw over the bottom of a swimsuit and just so I feel like I have a little extra coverage. So that's what this is. This project works up super quickly. This pattern is made to measure, and you can make it using any hook size and any yarn weight that you want. I have made patterns for myself in the past. I've freehanded a lot of pieces that I wear, but I've never shared one of those designs with anyone else. So this is my first time sharing a pattern, so please be nice to me. But I also wanted to make this free and available for you guys because it's very customizable. You can adjust it to your needs, your preferences, and you'll see once we get going, you could make a lot of little tweaks here and there. What I'm showing you guys is just how I made mine. I've already made 2 of these things and I'm super in love with them. I'm going to the beach this Friday and then I'm going to be going to the beach a lot in 2 weeks' time. So I'm super excited to wear these around. I think that's all I have to say. Let's get into what you're going to need to make this pattern. Okay, so you're gonna need a few things to make this cover up. The first, of course, being yarn. Like I said, this pattern is completely made to measure, and it's also completely customizable in terms of yarn weight. The only thing I will say is that I highly, highly recommend that you use cotton for this pattern. First of all, cotton's really affordable, so there you have it. It's a good option for that reason. But also it's great for summer. It's not too hot. The weight of the cotton is going to help the whole skirt hang a lot nicer. So it's definitely designed with that level of weight in mind. But also just practically speaking, if you're wearing this to the beach or the pool or anything like that, you're going to be sweating, you're going to be getting wet, you're going to get sand in it, it might get dirty. You want something that's easily washable. Big fan of cotton yarn. Also with this pattern, you can use as many different colors as you would like. In the sample I'm going to be making in our video, I only use 2 colors. I use this color blue. This is the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton yarn in the color Sky. And I also use their like bone white color called Ecru. But the first sample of this pattern that I made, I used many different colors. So for each different tier of the skirt, I did a different bright color. You're going to be needing 2 different crochet hooks. Now this is where this pattern's really like the Wild West. You can use any 2 sizes you want. Here's how I made my decision for this sample. The yarn I'm using is a medium weight 4 yarn. Now I know from previous experience that my preferred hook size for this yarn is 4.5. So this is going to be my smaller of the 2 hooks. Just for the sake of this being a very simple tutorial, I'm not including a gauge swatch element to this pattern, but if you wanted to, you could test a few different hook sizes and see what gives you the density of band that you want. This smaller of the 2 hooks is going to be what you use to crochet the band of your skirt, which you're going to want to be pretty dense. The second hook you'll be using is going to be the hook that you use to create the panel stitches in the skirt. And this hook should be anywhere between 2 and 2.5 millimeters bigger than the first hook. So for the sample I'm making in this video, my smaller hook is a 4.5 millimeter hook and my bigger hook is a 6.5 millimeter hook. It seems that all of mine are now missing, but you're gonna want stitch markers. As always, you can keep a few on hand. You're gonna need at least 2 for this pattern. You'll of course need some snips or some scissors. And then this is optional, but you might want a steamer or an iron with a steam setting. The stitches and techniques we're gonna be using in this pattern are foundation double crochet, treble crochet, or triple crochet. Both terms are interchangeable. I call it treble crochet, so that's what I'll be saying in this video. Back and front post treble crochet, and single crochet. I'm structuring this video not quite like a tutorial, but rather like a pattern would be if you were to buy a PDF and download it. I'm not necessarily going to be going into too much detail about how to execute every step of this pattern. I'm assuming that you guys have some sense of how to do these stitches. The back and front post treble crochet, I do walk you through a little bit, but the rest I'm assuming you have some understanding. If you have never done a foundation double crochet, I just last week actually released an entire video on how to do all foundation crochet stitches. So I will be leaving a link in this video and also in the description of this video so that you guys can go check that out. It's very comprehensive, so I promise that if you watch that, you will be able to go to that video, check it out, and then come back here and get started with us. There are a few measurements that you're going to need to take in order to start this pattern. For uniformity and clarity's sake, I'm going to be using centimeters. The first measurement that you'll need to take is going to be your hip measurement. Just wrap your tape measure around your hips and round to the nearest centimeter. You're then going to find your band measurement. This is going to be the length of the band of your skirt. As you can see, the construction of this skirt is such that it's a long, skinny band with a panel in the middle. In order to get the length of your band, you'll take your hip measurement and then you'll add 53 centimeters. It's a long band. To get the measurement of your panel, that's going to be how wide the skirt portion of this is going to be. Take your hip measurement and multiply that by 0.7. I know, she's like doing math. I couldn't believe it either. For your panel measurement, make sure to round your number to the nearest half centimeter. And then you're going to need to know the measurement where you're going to place the 2 stitch markers on your band. This is going to tell you where to start crocheting your panel. In order to get this number, you're going to take your band measurement, and then you're going to subtract your panel measurement, and then you're going to divide that number by 2. You're also going to round that number to the nearest half centimeter. So now, let's get into the pattern. My boyfriend always tells me to not put disclaimers in my videos and just own them, which is very sweet and true advice, but I have to give a disclaimer for this one. I used plastic hooks and cotton yarn, and if you've ever worked with that combo before, you know what I'm getting at. It was just like not a smooth crocheting experience, so some of this footage is kind of choppy because I had to edit out mistakes because I didn't want to confuse you guys. So I'm hoping that the finished result is helpful footage, but just know that it's kind of a Frankenstein situation due to just like the clumsiness of crocheting with these materials. Anyway. Okay, so here's how you make the cover up. Start with the yarn color that you want to be the color of the band and the ties for your skirt. Grab your smaller of the 2 hooks and begin making a foundation double crochet. Continue doing this until you reach your band measurement. It should be a pretty long chain. It's probably going to feel like it goes on forever. Once again, if you don't know what I'm doing here, I do have a whole tutorial on how to do a foundation double crochet. Ideally, your strap is going to be 1 inch tall. When I made the sample that I'm making in this video, the height of my foundation double crochets was just shy of 1 inch, and I was happy with that. I just left it there. But on my original sample, I used a smaller hook and some thinner yarn, so I did 2 rows of double crochet for my band. So I did the first row of foundation double crochet, and then I did a second row of double crochet on top of that, and that got me to 1 inch. Whether or not you care about it being 1 inch thick is kind of up to you and your aesthetic preference, but do keep in mind that once the skirt is all said and done, it's going to be pretty heavy, and if it gets wet especially, there's going to be a lot of weight dragging it down, so having some extra support and thickness in the strap might be really useful. Once you've reached your ideal thickness as well as the length of your band, break the yarn and tie it off. Note that the math that we did at the beginning accounts for your band stretching up to 30%, so you should be basing the length of your chain on however long it is unstretched. We'll now place stitch markers on the chain so that you know where to crochet your panel. For me, this was 39.5 centimeters in, so I measured that distance in from either end of my strap, and then I placed a stitch marker. Now we're going to begin crocheting the panel of the cover up. From here on out, when I'm referring to rows in this pattern, I'm not counting the band, I'm just referring to the rows of the panel of the skirt, which is what we're starting here, so we're effectively starting with row 1. Grab whatever yarn color you'd like this to be as well as your larger hook. Attach your yarn at the first stitch marker. We're going to be working towards the second. So for me, this was working right to left. Chain 3 and skip 1 stitch. Treble crochet into the next stitch. Skip one stitch and treble crochet into the next stitch. You'll continue in this way until you reach the second stitch marker. Be sure not to chain one in between your treble crochets. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the larger hook size already compensates for the distance in between the stitches. When you reach the second stitch marker, if your stitch pattern aligns that you can crochet into that space, do so. If, like in my piece, it's worked out that your stitch marker is in a stitch that you would otherwise skip, place your last treble crochet of this row into the stitch before your stitch marker. This is the end of your row. Do not continue treble crocheting past this point. Chain 3 and turn your work. Treble crochet into the very first stitch of this next row. You will work into this stitch every time you turn your work. Do not skip the very first stitch of the row. You're going to do another treble crochet into that same stitch. Continue on down the end of the row doing one treble crochet into every stitch until you reach the chain 3. Once you reach the chain 3 at the end of this row, do 2 treble crochet into the top of the chain 3. If you're wanting to have multiple stripes of color like I do in this sample, here's where you're going to change out for your second color. Chain 3 and turn your work. We are now going to do a front post treble crochet. Yarn over twice, and coming in from the front, go behind the post of your first stitch and yarn over. Pull the yarn back through from behind your stitch and complete the treble crochet as normal by yarning over, pulling through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through the last 2 loops on your hook. We're going to continue doing this all the way down this row. Once you reach the end, treble crochet through the post of the last stitch, chain 3 and turn. You're going to do another increase, so do 2 treble crochets into the first stitch of this row. Then continue down the rest of the row doing treble crochet until you reach the chain 3. Do 2 treble crochets in the top of that chain. Chain 3 and turn your work. Do a treble crochet in the first stitch and then work another row of treble crochet across this row. So as you may be starting to see, the pattern of the skirt is as follows. Every other row, you do 2 treble crochets into the first and last stitches. And otherwise, you do 1 treble crochet into every stitch. The faux tiers of the skirt are created by doing post treble crochets. We're creating the fake tiers this way rather than actually making layers in the skirt so that it's both more sand friendly and it's not a hot garment to be wearing to the pool or beach, especially in these like 90-degree summers we're having. These tier sections of our skirt are increasing by 1 row every time. So, whereas we did 2 rows of treble crochet before we did the first row of post treble crochet in the first tier, this time we did 3 rows of treble crochet. That being said, we will now be doing a row of post treble crochet. However, we'll be doing it in reverse as we're now on the right side of our work. The last time we did post treble crochet, we were on the wrong side of our work. If you're wanting to alternate colors, again, this will be where you do so. So we will now be doing what is called a back post treble crochet. It's essentially the same, but instead you go through the post of the stitch by coming from behind. This will become clearer as I go down the row. I find the first stitch of back post treble crochet on the row to feel extremely awkward to execute. Keep in mind that you're also due for an increase on this row, so do 2 back post treble crochets into the post of the first stitch. Once you complete the first 2, continue down the row doing back post treble crochet until you reach the chain 3. Once there, you'll do 2 back post treble crochets around the chain 3. Chain 3 and turn your work. Do 1 treble crochet stitch in the first stitch of the row and continue doing treble crochet stitches all the way down the row. This tier should have 4 total rows, including the row of back post treble crochet. The first and third rows of this tier should have 2 treble crochets in the first and last stitches of the row. Once you reach the 4th row of this tier, change colors if applicable, chain 3 and turn your work. You will once again be doing back post treble crochet, which is the one that we did in the previous tier. Okay, hey, hi, it's late night editing Addie. I just wanted to clarify something really quick. That first row in this tier of back post treble crochet, that is an increase row. So you need to start with 2 back post treble crochet and end the row with 2 back post treble crochet. And then the following row does not have an increase, so you just do 1 treble crochet in both the first and last stitch of the row, and then you continue on that way. So this tier has 3 total increase rows, the first, the third, and the 5th. As far as I can tell, I got off track with my increase rows in my own sample in this video, so just wanted to clarify that, sorry. But yes, continue on in the pattern. So the first row is an increase row, second is not, so on and so forth. Once you are finished with the row of back post treble crochet, chain 3 and turn your work. Continue on in the pattern we've created. Once you have 5 total rows in this tier, hold your work with a stitch marker and try the piece on to see if the length works for you. For me, this is perfect, so I broke my yarn here and tied the piece off. Now we begin the ruffle portion of the cover up. This part is super simple and mindless, and it can be done with any color. This is the part of the project where you're just kind of like zoning out watching TV. As you can see, the post treble crochet created this ridge of stitches throughout the panel. When I pick it up with my hook, there are 3 loops on my hook. We will be doing our stitches for the ruffle in the bottommost 2 loops of this stitch, the furthest 2 away from you. Taking your smaller hook, attach your yarn. Chain 1 and do 4 single crochets into that same stitch. Go to the next stitch and do 5 single crochets into the bottommost 2 loops of that stitch. Continue in this way all the way down. When you get to your last stitch, break the yarn and tie off. Doing this many single crochets into one stitch results in this really nice wavy ruffle. Do this for however many tier ridges you have in your skirt panel. When you get to the bottom row of your skirt, do the same thing, working 5 single crochets into every stitch. Once you reach the end, break your yarn and tie off. And now you're done crocheting! I recommend that you iron or steam your piece at this point. You can help encourage the ruffles to lay flat against the skirt, which will only help create that layered skirt illusion that we're going for here. Of course, be sure to weave in your ends, but if you don't, I won't tell anyone. I love this cover up. I can't wait to wear it to the beach this summer. I hope you guys have fun making it too. I really think the possibilities are endless, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. All right, y'all, that's gonna be all from me today. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this cover up with me. I'm really loving making these tutorial type videos for you guys, so please let me know how I'm doing in the comments below. Like I said, if you make this cover up and you post it, please tag me on Instagram. I just really want to see what you guys do with it. I think that the possibilities for this pattern are just endless, so I would love to see what you guys come up with. My handle on Instagram is @_thedropstitch. I make fun little reels over there relating to fiber arts, as well as update you guys on my whip, so come on, follow me on Instagram, come hang out with us. If you want to find me on Ravelry, you can do so by looking up The Dropped Stitch with 2 H's at the end. That's all one word. Couldn't do the underscore on Ravelry. That one stung. And if you're not already, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. And until I see you in the next one, be sure to be nice to yourself, drink some water, stretch your wrists. I have definitely needed to stretch my wrists this week, so I was like remembering my own advice. Stretch your wrists, and please purl responsibly. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye!